Welcome to the fourth part of the Happy Hour with the Keverend series. At this point we are looking at the portion of the worship service outline, starting with a prayer for illumination, going into the scripture, and then the sermon. That will be the focus for today's Happy Hour. And for the prayer for illumination, I've chosen Willie Nelson's Time of the Preacher from the Red-Headed Stranger album. And then for the scripture, Bob Marley's Exodus from the Exodus album, the Beatles' Let It Be, also from the Let It Be album. And then in the sermon area, Marvin Gaye's Mercy, Mercy Me, What's Going On album, and Steppenwolf, America Monster on the Monster album. With Willie Nelson, The Time of the Preacher, when I was a senior in college, I was part of a small group of about 7 or 8 of us who enjoyed playing music together, and we got it in our minds that it would be good to go and play at the local watering hole in Black Mountain, North Carolina, where we were playing at Wonk's Dymaxion Bar. And we took a lot of cuts off of this particular album, the Red-Headed Stranger album, and didn't realize at the time, this was a full 5 years before I even had a sense of a call to ministry, but I didn't realize at the time that the theme of the Time of the Preacher would be returning to me in a more personal way as I went into the ministry. And so Willie Nelson has always been one of my favorites. One of the best concerts I ever saw was in 1977, or the fall of 76 actually, in Johnson City. And Willie Nelson was the headliner for that, and Jerry Jeff Walker was the person who was supposed to come out, but Jerry Jeff was unable to do so, and Willie Nelson came out and played a full 2.5 hours. It was a great concert. The scripture with Bob Marley's Exodus. Again, back in those college days, the whole reggae movement was taking off, and the summer before my senior year, I became good friends with a Jamaican who turned me on to reggae music. And of course that fall there were some new students that came in and they were strong into reggae, so that became a theme to develop and grow with in my senior year. And the Exodus album, one of the things that I realized from that is the undercurrent of religious theme that Bob Marley would oftentimes use in his songwriting. And the Exodus is about the Exodus from Egypt, and Marley was looking at the parallel of African individuals who had come to Jamaica as slaves, and the theme of Exodus was something that he picked up on, and the movement of Jah people, Jah being the name for God, or Yahweh, which the Rastafarians then incorporated into their religion. And the theme that you will hear throughout this is this promise of God's deliverance. It plays pretty heavily into the reggae music of Bob Marley. One of my favorite all-time, all the way back to 1970 or 71, was from the Let It Be album, the song that Paul McCartney sang, Let It Be. It was several years into ministry before I realized the full connection. As one Advent, as I was preparing the Song of Mary, when she says, "Let it be, O Lord, according to your will," and realizing this is what Paul McCartney was developing in his song Let It Be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And it's not leave it alone, it is let it be according to your will, O God. And that theme is focused on in that piece of music, and as you listen to it, think of that. Let it be according to your will, O God. A good song for today. Then Marvin Gaye in the sermon portion of this, the song Mercy, Mercy Me is also called the Ecology Song, in which he focuses on the theme of the pollution and the heavy influence of humans on the earth in an unchecked and unbalanced way that brought about the rise of the ecology movement back in the late 60s and early 70s. And so this piece of music has been central in my thinking as far as the importance of the theme of being caregivers or caretakers for creation, which I think we as Christians are called to do. I've tried to develop that on an annual basis. Unfortunately, there have been several springs over the last several years, last decade, that we were unable to have our worship service outside in early May when we focus on this, but I've tried to bring that theme of caring for creation into a variety of different sermons over the years. And it remains one of the key principles I hold to as far as a theme for Christians to embrace and live out. And then finally, a piece of music that has been a real challenge to me in my life. It is the Monster, from the Monster album of Steppenwolf, and it's called Monster, and it's talking about America and the refrain, America, where are you now? Don't you care about your sons and daughters? Don't you know we need you now? We can't fight alone against the monster. The monster in this is the power unjustly used with its people of America and those who are in a position of power to disregard the young people of the country. And as I think about those days and reflect on the fact that we had many who have since grown up and been leaders in our church who went off to Vietnam, we also had the issues of racial tensions at that point in time flaring up into riots in the streets of America. And so that song by Steppenwolf has been something that has stirred my soul in a way that challenges America to be the best that it can be. And that's what I pick up on in that music, not a rejection of its leadership, but a strong challenge to embrace justice and righteousness and the relationships that we have with each other, and how power and authority are to be used as an ideal in this country rather than in sending individuals off to a war that was questionable at the time and that we've struggled with throughout our history since. So this is the focus for the sermon portion of this series, and I encourage you all to sit back now and enjoy the music, and then we'll pick up on this with the next week as we go into the 5th of our 6 series.